we're gonna cross our fingers and we're gonna see if the codes last. If they don't, I have them recorded and uploaded, the Genji codes.
Okay.
So worst case scenario, I've had it before and it was like disaster, right? So I was like, I'm not gonna happen again. So got that situated. Okay, so what got you interested in coaching?
Well, I always wanted it before, but I didn't really want to spend the money. So my friends, they said just for my birthday, like
Nice.
I guess they'll give me the coaching.
Sick. Perfect. All right, good to go. So how long have you been playing Overwatch?
Uh, well, I started on console like near release. Started on console near release. I haven't really played that much there. So when I got a PC like 3 years ago, I got a PC. Started playing Overwatch again like a year later,
Yeah. Okay. Makes
and
sense.
then with it, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So you said that you were always interested in getting coaching, but just now, like, getting friends and all that kind of stuff. So what about coaching interested you? Is you just ranking up or getting more serious about it, or what?
Ranking up mostly because I'm kind of hard stuck.
Okay. Oh, how long have you been hard stuck?
Well, I was hard stuck diamond for 2 months, 3 months, and then I like got deranked and sort of got off the game. And I want to get back in.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. And Genji and Tracer mostly.
Yeah,
Okay, sounds good. So where are you right now in terms of rank?
plat one.
Plat 1. Okay, let's see here. So looking through your form here. So break me down when you started playing Overwatch. What heroes have you played? What heroes have you mained? What ranks did you bounce around in? Even in console, I'm just curious to hear your Overwatch background.
Console. It was Hanzo Junkrat, but then kind of like leaned against that. Like I didn't really play them anymore.
Why is that?
Just got boring for me. And then when I went to PC, main cast like for a while.
Hmm?
Main cast for a while, and that got boring. Also, I just switched to Genji Tracer, and that's what mainly got me. Or no, switched to Genji, but then that's what mainly got me back into Overwatch
Okay.
again.
Makes sense. So basically, all roads lead to Genji, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a good road. I mean, he's my second most played hero of all time. So, what appeals to you so much about Genji and a Tracer as well? I guess.
the the skill ceiling they're just really fun to play, and there's always more to learn when playing.
Makes sense. Makes
You
sense.
can like always be better.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, okay. So looking through your form here, what do you hope to get out of the session? Main thing is better understanding of what I should be doing at certain points of the game in certain situations. For example, pre-fight, how to set up and reading my team. Okay. Sleep looks pretty good. 7 hours isn't too bad. Obviously, if you can bump that to 8, that's even better, especially for such mechanically demanding heroes, but 7 isn't too bad. Short-term goals, masters. Long-term goal, more in-depth hero pool. Okay, talk to me about the in-depth hero pool. What do you mean by that exactly?
Because I only play Genji basically in comp, and that's like kind of making me lose my games,
Yeah.
maybe. But if my team asks me to switch to a different hero, I just know I won't be able to perform as well as Genji. Just
Okay.
like if I have an understanding of what to do normally in the game, then I'll probably transfer that to other heroes. So I'm like somewhat equal.
Sure, sure. Do you enjoy other heroes as much as Genji?
No.
Okay. There are top 500 Genji OTPs, right? So for you, if you don't enjoy other heroes as much as Genji, oh, let's say Genji Tracer, right? Why swap? Get good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to understand that, especially at your rank, people are going to be asking you to swap all the time. I spent a lot of time back in the day in bronze, silver, gold, plat, diamond. Everything is a hero pick problem, right? Everything. There'll always be someone complaining about the hero pick. You lose one fight, somebody needs to swap. That's how it goes. And while Overwatch has a swap system built in, it should be exploited more about like what the player individually feels like was going to work or what's not going to work. And for you, especially when you're playing pretty flexible heroes in Genji and Tracer, It's going to be more about you adjusting your playstyle and making changes about what you need to be doing better, and less about what hero you need to be swapping to. Especially if you don't enjoy those other heroes. So not like if I work with somebody who's playing Mei, Tracer, Widowmaker, they like all those heroes, then yeah, we're going to talk about swaps, right? Because there are maps where those have different strengths and weaknesses, and if they like them all equally, then, you know, swapping around, sure, right? But for you, if you really like Genji and Tracer the most, get good, you know? Learn what you need to learn to adjust if you feel like you're struggling, and not to be corny, but tune out the haters, really, truly.
Yeah, I don't really mind the toxicity. I'm just used to it.
Right, which is good. Like that's the best way to do it. It's either just tune it out or get used to it. But then if that's implying, if you're making the decision that I need to increase my hero pool, I'm sitting here telling you that Genji Tracer is a great hero pool. You won't need to adjust that. Now, what you will need to do is figure out how to play Genji Tracer into different comps, right?
Yeah.
What are some situations that you feel like only having Genji Tracer is a problem? Can you think of any off the top of your head?
What do you mean,
like comps?
What comps or?
Yeah.
Oh, if my team's running like a Sigma or something, or like supports that, like Moira or something that can't kill me from far, I kind of find it. I kind of have a struggle.
Okay.
Playing like I want to.
Sure.
How I want to.
Sure. Okay. Anything else?
Not really.
Okay. So you're starting specifically with supports that can't heal you from far. So
I tried to adjust with that, but
what sort of adjustment?
It just feels foreign to me. Like play close to my team, not take too many long flanks that they won't be able to get me to.
Sure.
Or they won't be able to get to me.
So what that might look like is, like, let's say you have like your tank line here and your supports Moira, whatever, Lucio here, and you are specifically more often than not, like, you like the deeper stuff like this here, or even deep. So you're thinking, I can't do this with Moira or Lucio or whatever, so I'm trying to play here. But what you can do, at least the goal should be, maybe it's something that you're tried, but at least it's still foreign to you right now, is playing more this, right? Where you're still within spray range or whatever, aura range, whatever. But you're still on an angle. You're not shooting directly behind your tank, right? I will say that this kind of play style, whether like the angles that you take, also heavily depends on what you're playing into. In fact, I find myself as Genji more often than not paying attention to the enemy composition than my own composition in terms of playstyle adjustments. Like if you're here, but they're running Widowmaker and Hanzo and Zen, you're gonna lose. You know, you're gonna lose.
That's another thing. I kind of find it difficult to adjust to enemy compositions, but I try to get around as much as I can. But I kind of find difficulty in that.
It's hard. It is hard, especially with a hero like Genji. But it's hard, but it's also a blessing in disguise, because usually the heroes that have, I won't say dramatic playstyle changes, but at least significant playstyle changes, those heroes also are the most flexible. So if you think about like something like a Junkrat really only has like 1.5 playstyle. You can spam a little bit on mains, but that's really not that good. It's mostly short angles for assassinations. That's mostly how Junkrat plays. And there's not a lot of variety there, okay? But there's also a lot of situations where Junkrat's going to feel terrible. Genji Tracer, there's so many things that you can do. But that can also be a little bit confusing in of itself. Okay, let's move on. We'll talk more about the understanding stuff once we actually get in game here. Hero pool, as of the form, you said Genji Ash Cassidy, but now it's just Genji Tracer.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Okay, so as of now,
it was supposed to be just Genji Tracer and then Ash, but I kind of gave up on Ash.
Sure. What percentage of that is that Genji and Tracer? Like 50-50, 40-60, 30-70?
70-30 Genji.
Okay, makes sense. In what circumstances do you pick?
Maybe mostly 80-20.
Okay, in what circumstances then do you pick your Tracer?
When usually when Genji's taken, or
okay,
sure.
Sure. Tracer is really good on like broad maps, like wide maps. Like if you were to play crap, you know, Havana first point, right? Genji will feel a little bit tough, and then second point he's gonna feel great, right? And then even third point will feel okay. Maybe a Junkertown first point, Genji's gonna feel really good early on, but then as the map opens up, second half of first point, you kind of see what I'm saying? Now you're not gonna be able to access anything, so like maybe go Tracer there. But second point, third point, Genji's gonna feel good again. Lijiang Tower Garden. I don't know if you remember that one, the one where the point and people can get booped off the bridge on Lijiang Tower. You know that one?
Yeah.
That's a Tracer one, right? Really, really broad, really wide, not a lot of high grounds. So maybe that's a little bit of information you can kind of leverage when you want to pick. Okay, training time right now. What do you at training time? How often do you play? How much do you play? And so on.
Well, I started working again after coming back from school, so I don't have too much time. Maybe 4 hours a day,
Okay.
maybe less.
Let's just say 3 hours, just to play it safe.
Okay.
Okay. And then how are those hours spent usually?
Maybe playing like quick play or comp.
Yeah.
Or
warm up, arcade, quick play, comp. No.
Yeah.
How much of that? Like what percent? How much is that quick play? How much is that arcade and all that?
Maybe like 20% quick play, 10% like training, just like the custom games, stuff like that, and rest comp.
Okay, sounds good. Why do you play quick play? Is that a social thing with friends or just when you're relaxing?
Want to get mad at comp.
What is it?
Want to get mad at comp.
When do you get mad at comp? Okay, fair enough. And then your training. What kind of custom games do you use for training?
You know the new Vaxta map?
Yep.
It's the
Okay.
that one, and if I get bored of that, I usually go to like, you know, the blade training Hanamura one?
Yes.
Which practice my speed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one.
Bad news. Both of those are almost useless.
Okay.
For you. Vaxta, I believe, is one of the better codes for non-Genji Tracer players.
Okay.
If you played anything but Genji Tracer, it's just, it doesn't replicate. It's very good for just aim training, right? Ana, Zen, Widow, Cass, even Hanzo to an extent, anything where you're just pointing and clicking, right? But you already can kind of see where I'm going with this, right? It's so much more than that when you're playing specifically Genji and Tracer. It's the combos, it's the movement, it's dealing with abilities, deflecting cooldowns, baiting cooldowns with your blinks, and so on. Even your blink cooldown is reduced in Vaxta, so you move around faster than you should, which can build bad habits. So what I would recommend for you is, especially because you're EU, yeah? Oh no, I'm gonna get out. Okay, so you're in EU. Let me update Overwatch really quick. So we're gonna have to use the YouTube bot. Have you heard of Tryhard FFA?
Yeah, I go on that sometimes also, and not too much.
Abuse that. Seriously, abuse that as much as you can. If they don't have a lobby up because it's not as popular as it used to be, then unranked deathmatch is your friend. Like, that stuff is legit the best training that you can do for Genji Tracer, because not only are you working on your mechanics, you're working on movement, dueling, securing kills, everything, right, about your mechanics is utilized. Strongly recommend using that as much as you possibly can. Make sense?
Yeah.
Even for like the blade training things, maybe somebody will, maybe there has to be somebody that has a better suggestion. I might be able to look one up for you. But the Hanamura code, I'm familiar with the code that you're talking about, and I know people like Necros use it a lot, but it's really not that great. They don't move, they don't use any cooldowns. It's like, here's the thing with the Hanamura code. It would be great for like a silver or gold Genji to understand like blade mechanics and like how to chain your dashes and stuff. But like, once you have a base competency, it's just not good practice. It's just not good practice at all. It's much better to, I mean, I like, even if it's just freaking deathmatch, like just to or just ranked, like it's just not a good use of your time. So you said like 10% of your time is spent in that, so that's awesome. However, how long is that per day? Is that like 15, 20 minutes of warm up or longer, shorter?
I don't always do warm up, but I just it's like maybe 10 minutes, maybe a bit
Okay.
more
Okay.
sometimes.
Okay. So I would aim for 10 to 15 minutes personally. That might be, you know, maybe like even like 5 minutes of vax that isn't the end of the world, right? Just kind of get you waking up, you know, and then go from there into 10 minutes of try hard, maybe an unranked deathmatch, maybe an unranked deathmatch for both Tracer and Genji, you know, about 15, 16 minutes, right? And then you're good to go.
Yeah.
And then if you want to spend more time in that because you're specifically aim training, then you're good to go. But for warm up specifically, that's probably all you need. Okay, any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay.
Not that I think of.
Okay. And then you quick play when you get tilted at competitive. How often does that happen?
Pretty often. Maybe like every 4 games.
Okay. Okay.
Or
Why
so.
is that? What causes that tilt? And I'm sure it's a little bit different every time.
When I just play bad, knowing I can do better.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I just do it quickly and stress
okay.
it all out.
So let's jump ahead to that. So before we move on, training time, 3 hours per day with 10, 15 minutes of warm up. That's going to get you to Masters if you're able to use that time productively. Definitely. You're playing more than enough to get you to Masters. Question is the quality of that time. Moving on to our next question. What do you feel is holding you back from improving mentality? Talk to me about your mentality, kind of talking what you were just saying there. What about your mentality is going wrong? Said, oh, when I could be playing better. Elaborate on that.
Well, like I mid game, I just got mad. Because I just know I can like finish off that kill or something, or mess up a blade or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just get mad about that, and then I just start going brain dead sometimes.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay.
Yeah. Just rely on mechanics all the time.
Okay. 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 Makes sense. Well, there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot of ways that you can approach that. So I'm gonna go through a few points. Okay. One, inconsistency with mechanics is extremely common. If every player struggles with it, even Overwatch League, like the best of the best struggle with it. So you have to embrace it to an extent. Number two, you can improve your inconsistency by having good training habits, being able to play consistent competitive, keeping a good mentality, having a consistent warm-up. Number three, focusing on not worrying about performing mechanically all the time, but making sure that you have specific goals that you're working on that may or may not be related to your mechanics. Like, you're not judging every game's success based off of how you perform mechanically, but on how well you were able to keep focused at what you're specifically practicing, whether that's blade timing, positioning, deflect usage, and so on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the last thing, and this is the real kicker here, is that the number, 2 or number 3 biggest contributor to inconsistency, I might even say number 2. Number 1 is inconsistent playtime, right? Which so far seems to be not a problem for you, right? You're pretty consistent. Number 3 is sleep. Number 2 is mentality when it comes to inconsistency. Because what always happens, and I speak from experience here, especially with Genji, is when you perform at a level below where you think is acceptable, that might just be RNG. You just woke up, or you just had a bad map, or just a bad round, or you weren't quite warmed up, whatever. That's going to happen probably every day. A bad engage, a bad fight, even a bad map, okay? What always happens, though, with people that need to work on their mentality, again, I speak from experience here, is you get frustrated at that instance of poor play mechanically, and it snowballs really quickly, because confidence is directly correlated with mechanical performance. Now, I'm not saying that if you have a really, really confident bronze player that they're going to perform like a grandmaster. You have to have the skill. But whether you're going to perform up to what you're capable of is more often than not correlated with your mentality. And if you're the type of person that gets frustrated the first time you make a mechanical error or have a bad game, then you are going to not bounce back from that. You're going to make the rest of the day look like what you just did. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
And I'm telling you, this happens to all ranks. I've worked with Overwatch League players that get down on themselves mechanically, and they look terrible. They look terrible. And you will have players that are masters look like diamonds, GMs look like masters, top 500 look like, high masters even, it happens. So your challenge has to be able to be with your training schedule, with your training time, making sure that you're consistent, getting consistent sleep, having consistent goals with your training. But probably from what I'm seeing, the most important thing that you specifically need to fix is how you're responding to a bad game or a bad fight. Because if that's going to frustrate you and tilt you, then you're going to have more bad mechanics. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's unavoidable. You've screwed yourself over. And not only is that the problem, is also you've ruined the practice value. Because when you're tilted, you're not focused. When you're not focused, you're not learning. You're not learning. You're not ranking up.
Yeah, because when I do something bad, I beat myself up about it a lot, but I try not to anymore because I know that's just not going to work.
Yeah,
I just try to think what I can do better or something like that.
Sure. It's hard to do though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really hard to do because especially the thing is that like really competitive people that take it seriously tend to have like that as baggage, right? We tend to be the type of people that beat ourselves up harder. But like that's our weakness, right? We have to be able to fight that because it's good to be competitive. It's good to be intense. It's good to take things seriously. But if that's ironically stopping you from getting better, then what's the point? Especially if it's not even fun. Like when you're tilted, you're not exactly having a good time. So here's what you can do. Okay. We're going to give you some things, bullet points at the end of the review of things that you need to practice, things that you need to improve on, of course, things that will put your emphasis and focus on instead of mechanics. We'll also make sure that you're consistently warming up with, I think, better warm-up quality, which will help a little bit with consistency. If you can improve your sleep quality and consistency, make sure that you're training consistently. You've got all these little external factors which you can make little adjustments and improve your consistency, okay? In addition to that, though, the most important thing that we said is practicing how you respond to this kind of a thing. Now, what I would recommend is also trying to prevent it from happening. So what that might mean is, what do you do when you're in queue?
I usually go to practice range.
Sure.
Just shoot the bot.
Mistake. Stand up, touch grass, get some water, move around, reset yourself mentally. Remind yourself of what you need to be working at. It's toxic productivity to try and be aim training between every single queue. I know it's very common. I myself did it for a long time. But I found myself getting more tilted more often because I was like basically hard glued to the screen for like 3-4 hours in a row. Don't do that. Don't do that. Make yourself more productive. Prevent the tilt from setting in. Remind yourself of what you're focusing on. Go next. And if you have a really bad game, a really tilt-worthy game, take 10 minutes. Stop playing for 10 minutes. Do something else. Remind yourself what you need to focus on. Go back in and play 1 or 2 more games. Don't worry about how you're playing. I don't even care if you're missing every shot, but you're focused and you're not as upset. Great, then keep playing. If you come back in and you try one more game and you're still like tilted out the wazoo, then you can go play quick play. You call it for the day. Yeah. Training day is done. You just want to play for fun? Fine. Training day is done. But you need to give yourself the chance to mentally reset and go back in and try, because we don't want to like, we don't want to take it easy on you. You need to figure out your way. You need to figure out how to get through this, right? You need to give yourself the chance to grow up and get over being tilted, right? But we also don't want you to hit your head up against the drywall over and over and over again if you're still tilted. There's no point. You're not learning. You're not practicing. You're making the bad experience. You're burning yourself out. You're frustrating yourself. Call it. But give yourself the chance to at least try it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions with all that? I know this is what we've talked about a lot, but this stuff is like so important.
Not really any questions yet.
Okay.
But
okay. So that right there is probably the most important thing you need to work at. If we're talking about ranking up and improving, that's the most important thing right there. We're going to go into some gameplay in just a few minutes, but like everything stops until you start to improve and work at that. More important than any other gameplay related stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do you want to get into some gameplay here, or do you have any other questions?
Yeah, sure. Just done some gameplay now.
Okay, let's do this here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna be able to stream my little drawing tool. So I'll just gonna have to wave my mouse around, but we should probably be fine without it though. So yeah. I did the Dorado one, and I also did the Havana one. Do you have a preference for which one we at least start with?
Maybe the Dorado one.
Okay. We should have plenty of
The,
footage to get.
wait, no, not the Dorado, the Havana one. Sorry,
Havana.
because Dorado one I kind of played okay.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so let's get started here. So, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
Perfect.
Let me turn it up actually. Okay.
Brilliant recording quality here. But I'm glad we did it because I just got force restarted in Overwatch. The codes got all wiped, so I was like, "Phew." Okay,
Oh.
so, yeah, we got it. So what is Genji good at? You talked about like sometimes struggling in certain compositions and adjusting your playstyle. So let's establish like the baseline of like at least what is this hero's strengths? What are they?
Taking strong positions away, like forcing the enemies out of positions that you don't want them to be in.
Yep. And also think selfishly about that too, right? Not just forcing them out of positions, but taking those positions for yourself, right? Good positions that are strong for you. And what are those positions? Right? Because there's all sorts of positions on the map, right? There's high grounds, low grounds, flanks, main, choke, cart. Where is good for you?
Like if one of the DPS are going in an off angle and just distracting your team, that's not gonna it's gonna be terrible for your team.
Sure.
Or like high ground or something.
Sure.
Strong position for like Hanzo, Cass, something like that.
So you have mobility, you have the ability to utilize double jump and wall climb, you have some verticality with it, you have a little bit of self-defense tools with your dash and deflect. So right, okay. Long, and also let's talk about your weapon, right? What range is your weapon most effective at?
Short range.
Short range, right? So you're essentially a very, very mobile shotgun hero. Now, that's obviously not 100% true, but that's a good way of looking at it right here. So if you go to this Hanzo here on your screen, your goal is, I will kill this Hanzo, or I will force the Hanzo off. And that's value for your team. But also, what can you do from this position when you get there?
I don't know, maybe drop to the left there.
Sure.
Shoot the tank a bit, make him turn.
Sure.
Or something like that.
So not only do you steal that position away, you can also use it, right? You can use it. So it's an offensive play with defensive and offensive benefits, right? Yeah. And is this a favorable 1v1 for you at this range?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I mean, it's Hanzo, the guy just sucks, but yes. Good. Now, this is where things get tricky, because once you've established a position, what do you shoot? The answer is, I don't really know. It's tough. What do you see on your screen right now?
What's called the Torb on the right. It's usually has the Ana sightline, so I can't really go for him. Plus, he might have.
Well, stop right
overload.
there. Stop right there. Stop right there. You said he has Ana sightline, so you can't go for him. What does that mean?
Well, he's gonna get pocketed, possibly naded. Just get anti probably feed.
So you won't be able to kill him.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
Well, no, I could probably just make him go back or something.
Sure. I mean, here's the question is just like, if it's a 2v1, are you going to be killing anybody? Likely.
Not likely.
I mean, is there anything on your screen that you're going to kill?
Probably not.
Not really. Zen's gonna have pocket too. Now you could shoot the guy that you think that maybe I get a kill, but don't even start down that logic train, because that's gonna lead you to bad conclusions, right? So for here, you look at Sigma, you see Discord, right? And you also see that he's closer. So could you shoot Sigma?
Yeah, you could.
You could. Could you shoot Torbjorn? Yeah. Then? Yeah. It's up to you here. Really, everything's kind of accessible here. And usually we wouldn't prioritize tank, but tank is also discorded and pushed really far up. So, you know, are you going to get a kill from any of these targets? No, but what are you going to get?
Make them move back, maybe.
Yeah.
Or get some cooldowns.
Sure, make them look at you, right? You won't even, and you might not even have to use a cooldown besides your deflect, right? Maybe, right? So that's what we're looking for. And what's that going to do for your team? Let's say you shoot the Sigma. Ana starts pocketing Sigma, doesn't throw out a nade, doesn't hit any damage shots. Sigma turns around and looks at you. Maybe the Zenyatta discords you. What does that do for your team?
Allow them to move up a bit more to get some space.
Right. Yes. You allow them to play more aggressively just based off of the fact that you're here. So let's see what happens. I'm curious. Hey, look at there.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Now, good. Be careful about, obviously, when you don't have deflect, you need to be careful, but I think you played that one well. Nice job. You contested a DPS in a 1v1 at a sight line where you had an advantage. You then used the position that you stole to pressure the enemy team and create a resource advantage and got the kill, and then you win the fight because you created a lot of space, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of fancy words to say. You try kill somebody, good spot, the enemy team distracted, you win. Now, why is this working?
They were distracted, maybe?
Okay.
I don't know.
They were, yeah, 100%. They knew you were there, but they had to worry about point, right? Look at Ana. You see this? You see what she just threw?
Yeah.
I mean, you can probably guess, right? Right? There's stuff going on, right? She has to go, right? And not only that, at what range were you able to get on top of them?
Short range.
Very short range. Immediate assassination. Right. Immediate death. So playing to your strengths. Really well done. So we could sit here and talk about things that you could be doing better, and there will be things I'm sure that you could be doing better as the VOD review goes along. But also, let's take the time to smell the roses at the same time and be like, hey, this was good, this was good, this was good. So when you don't do good, we can point and be like, why didn't you do what you did at this point in the VOD, right? Yeah. Nice. You even had your deflect just in case. Nice. Nicely done. You see how, like, you're playing more confidently here? A lot more confidence, a lot more aggression. Now, I'm curious to see when you hit a brick wall, which will happen eventually, how you bounce back. Are you going to just, like, turn your brain off? What's going to happen? Now, we have a problem.
Yeah, just wasted deflect there.
Well, kind of, sort of. You kind of needed to do it. What's wrong with your positioning? Are you on an off angle?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this off angle?
It's kind of in the open.
Okay, why is that a problem? Because theoretically there is cover around you. So I'm not even nitpicking your positioning in terms of, oh, you need to be using more cover. I agree. But I don't think this angle makes any sense, period. Even with cover.
Oh.
It's not terrible. I'm glad that you're not standing on top of your Sigma, right? We're from level 0 to level 1 positioning, but you're not on level 2. Why? What's wrong with this positioning?
I can't really do much here.
Why?
They have long sight lines from the big window, or like the window and the big window from there.
Yep.
Can't really dive the top bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, to the right.
How are you supposed to close the distance on anybody here?
Can't really.
You can't, right? And so what's more likely? You're going to get a triple headshot and then follow that up with another body shot shuriken, or that this Hanzo's going to log you, or the Torbjorn's going to log you, or the Ana's going to shoot you, or the Bap is going to shoot you.
You probably just get rolled.
Yeah. I mean, even just a body shot here means that you have to back up and you've not done any pressure. Because remember, it's not just the threat of death. It's also like how much pressure are you putting from here. And the answer is, you know, I don't know. Not a lot. Now, would there ever be a circumstance where you would be playing a longer sightline as Genji?
Yeah.
Okay. In what circumstance?
Maybe if the map's open, map's really wide open. Like the third point here, they have a Widow up top there. Sure,
but you would want to close the distance on Widow, no?
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense. Think about the comp. What heroes do you outrange in Overwatch?
Maybe.
Kind of, yeah. Little bit shaky, but sort of, yeah. What else?
I'm not sure.
Keep thinking. Because you need to be able to come up with this answer. If you don't know the answer, it's fine.
But I outrange?
Yeah, you outrange.
Sim?
Yep. What else?
Like any hero?
Any hero.
Ryan,
yeah.
Monkey. Sometimes.
Yeah.
How
about your
Brig? Tracer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Reaper? Moira?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're, even to a lesser extent, a hero like Bastion, who you don't necessarily outrange, but you don't have to close the distance immediately. He's got a big fat hitbox. His gun kind of sucks, right? You you know, there's options here, right? Maybe a Sombra, right? Not quite as much, but to an extent, right? So this is what we're talking about in terms of the dynamic of your playstyle right here. This position is not a bad Genji position. It's a bad Genji position versus what you're playing versus. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense for you. If you were here versus like a Winston Reaper, heck, even a Reaper Torb. Let's say the Torb stays in there, but it's like Moira Lusu, Winston Reaper Torb. There's nothing besides a couple of Torb shots that are they're gonna discourage you from playing range. So be Sniper Genji, right? Still dash in, but like wait for your time, bide your time, do a lot of damage to them first, right? But versus this comp, it's not just the Torb, you know, because one Torb is fine, but it's a Hanzo and a Torb and an Ana and a Bap. No, this isn't it. So we've poked a lot of holes in where you're at. So where should you go instead? I would give you a better vision, but unfortunately we're on VOD time here, so you tell me, where should you go?
Maybe to the right.
Yeah.
There's some pressure there through the door.
Yeah, is there an angle that you can hold onto the right through the door? Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
There, that little window, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like a little bit over here, right? Throw some shurikens in here. Now you have to back away from Zarya, but if Zarya pushes you, you just back up. She's gonna have to drop the point at some point, and then you have an angle. Throw some shurikens, and if you want to go hyper aggressive, bam, you're already here, right? You can even wrap around this way, especially with Blade, right? Because like that's what you kind of do with Blade. Last I checked, you can't throw your blade, so you know, you want to close distance. So your positioning makes no sense. Now the reason why we spend so long analyzing that is because what we just talked about is the most important playstyle adjustment that you need to be making with Genji. The most important. Yeah. Very important that you have this skill. Not just that you know about the skill, but that you've practiced making this read. You understand? Like, you really have to practice doing this. Not just, oh, I know that this is the thing, but like, okay, are you going to do it? Good. Gotta love 110 damage, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I like what we're doing with our Blade. Is this a good time for Blade?
Yeah.
Why?
I'd say so anyway, because tank's up there, they just use the bubble. Doesn't really have support sightlines.
Yeah. I mean, this is just an unfortunate series of events, right? Like where you go in, you don't get the dash, and you have to finish with dash, but then he's already dead. So you've lost your dash reset, and then you have to go for the freaking Zarya, who's like the worst target to Blade. So, in theory, what you did there with Blade was totally fine. The execution was just bad. But you know what? I can live with that. You've picked one target, you focused it down, and then you just kind of got lost in the sauce. You messed up after that. But that's fine. Practice makes perfect. Don't worry about it. Ooh! What are you doing?
Go on the right.
Does this make any sense? Does this make any sense? This angle here.
Maybe. Make some space from.
Sure.
Make them look at me.
Is this a good ranged off angle given what you're playing versus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
Because there's a lot less sightlines. And there's that door up there.
Yeah. See, you could even spam Zarya from here, from a distance, and what are they going to do about it, right? Can't peek you.
Yeah. So
you could play range versus Zarya, but avoid the actual sniper sightlines. You see the dynamic there?
Yeah.
And you can also, obviously, wrap around lower right or high right, and you're immediately on top of them, which is what you want, right? The only problem here is that obviously you're down your Zen, so I don't think you're going to push, so you need to be very careful here. I mean, this is why this feels that bad, right? Because there's nothing happening, right? So just pay attention a little bit more to timing. And now this is the problem. You're back with your team now, right? The problem was the timing, not the angle itself. You could have been really sneaky assassin style there and gone for the backline, killed the backline at the same time as your team. Instead, you went early while your Zen was in spawn, while your Sigma was far away. So they focus you out, you run away, and then you go back to your team. Your timing was bad, so now your positioning is bad. Now, I won't say it's bad, right? You've been able to close the distance, maybe get a little dash here, but you kind of see what I'm saying. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Be careful with that deflect, though. Perfect. Oh, no way. Did she bounce it off of the... thing?
The
No,
what?
she just beamed you. I thought she might have right clicked you. Okay, yeah. But okay, not the end of the world. We need to pay very close attention to our timing. Pay very close attention about the status of our deflect. Excellently done. And obviously, don't let bad timing send you back down a road of poor positioning afterwards. I won't say that was poor positioning, but just something to kind of keep in mind. You're doing it again.
Yeah. I have a
now
tendency
you're the tank. You are being the tank right now. And while Genji is not the worst tank when it comes to DPS, right? You have defensive cooldowns, right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense because now you have a flank that once again you've been bullied out of by 0.87 seconds from the Zarya's attention. It's annoying, right? So you either got to do one of two things. You got to be later, or you got to be sneakier, right? Take the angle ahead of time and just be sneaky. And then you'll be set up for when your Sigma actually walks forward. Like right now is a perfect time for you to be up here, right? You see my mouse? Up here, killing this Hanzo, killing this Ana. And then not even necessarily killing them, but threatening the kill. Because now, guess who's not getting any support from two of their backliners? This Zarya. Right?
Zarya.
It's over. You win the fight just from distracting them at a really close range. But now what are we doing? We're playing Tickle Me Elmo with the Zarya in the front line. Now, thankfully, the Torbjorn is close, so that gives us something better to do. But, you know, you're not out of range of everybody, right? The Ana can still snipe you down, and that's what's going to happen. This makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm pleased.
I think I just need to run more on my team.
Right, just before you push there. Just before you push, right? Just before you push. The angles that you were taking weren't even necessarily bad. You just were basically by yourself. So then you're like, okay, well now I'm out, and now I'm back with my team, and then I'm freaking dying to an Ana and Narnia. That's just terrible, right? Just terrible. I don't think you have bad instincts with how you're playing your hero. I think your instincts are good. But the problem is that your instincts are getting bullied around by poor fundamentals. That's the worst thing. It's like you see somebody playing aggressively and they get punished for it for all the wrong reasons, and so they think that the good thing that they were doing was bad because they're bad at it, right? It's like somebody getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and doing like 7,000 push-ups because they read it in one magazine one time, and then basically being in a hospital for like a week because their pectorals are ripped in half and deciding that exercise is bad for you. Right? No. You were on the right track, but you just did it wrong. Right? Good. Break the turret. Now, hey. Hanzo Ana, right here.
I was confused where the Hanzo was.
I was too. I was too. Very good. Very good. I also like that you kind of had like an escape route in mind, right? You went through her and were already migrating to this high ground here with your deflect, right? Very good. Problem here is that you're just very, very late to the party, but that's okay. It's still, if not winnable, it's tradable. Yeah, case in point, right? And so their respawns are going to start coming into play. No. What should you do right now? What should you do right now?
I'm not sure. Just poke at them from the top.
Yeah. Also consider doing nothing. Okay.
Oh.
Like you just killed like 3 people or 2 people. Like you just wait for your team. Like just be a nuisance, right? You're set up for your next engage for next fight. You know, you don't roll the dice here. You see these guys at the HP that they are. Don't bother. Don't bother. You know, just reset.
Yeah.
You've got value out of what you just did. Like your team's gonna be able to walk out of this choke for pretty much free now. And you should also have been set up for that Torbjorn pretty soon. Like you can break turret, this is fine. But yeah. And then also thinking, okay, yeah. Here we go. Too bad the turret doesn't give you a dash reset. Honestly, again, I respect the intentions here. You're very cautious about going in. You go in at a good time when your tank is theoretically pressing a little bit. It is definitely scary, I'm not going to lie to you, right?
Yeah.
You try to do a little bit of the wall climb during the unsheathing animation so that you're harder to hit, right? I respect that. Problem is that once again, this Torbjorn just seems to die at the worst times.
Well, I
So,
tried to go for the Hanzo first, I kind of lost him.
yeah, you lost him, and so then he goes back top, and you kind of lose him. That being said, it's more of an execution problem, and I'm gonna be honest with you. This is where you know what the problem was with that engage right there with the Torb dying and losing the Hanzo and messing up the sheathing animation, right? The unsheathing. You know what the problem was? You didn't train in Hanamura enough. That was the problem. I think if you train in Hanamura more, I think that this blade goes 10 times more clean. I promise I won't be that toxic all the time.
I was gonna figure out if you were being sarcastic or not there.
Yeah, no, that's how we know the sarcasm is good, right?
I kind of got confused. I didn't know they touched.
Well, okay. First off, always assume that they're going to touch. Always assume.
Yeah.
Just a good general rule, because you're never going to get punished for assuming wrong, right? So the reason why this is a problem is because you're either typing to your girlfriend or whatever. But the other thing is also, like, if they touch, is this where you want to be?
No.
No. How about up here, or behind you on the door on an angle there, right? So the problem here is that you don't want to be here. It's not a terrible position because at least you're close to them, but you'd kind of like to choose your engagement there and not have it thrust upon you. Good. Your mechanics are not plat mechanics, which I'm pretty much going to assume that you already knew that. But I'm going to confirm it for you. At least when you're not tilted. I assume that you weren't tilted this game at least yet.
No, it was
Okay.
like my second game.
Yeah. Okay, so, well, it makes sense. So when you are not tilted, this is good enough. Now, what do you think about this? Good
Maybe
target?
overpushed a bit.
Yeah, good target. Yes, good proximity, right? Got on top of her immediately. Only thing we got to be careful about is timing, because where's the cart and where's your team?
Pretty far back.
Pretty far back. Was it still worth it doing what you're doing right now? Maybe. Are you going to get punished for it? Probably not. So here's the thing. If you know the rule, you have my permission to break the rule. Do you understand? This one feels relatively safe. But if you don't know the rule, then you're going to break it a lot when you shouldn't. So keep that in mind. I think that one was okay, but be careful. Now, I will say that because you broke the rule, you had to disengage, and then now the fight has started, and where are you?
Way back here.
Right. So even though it felt like a safe break, I wonder. Get her. Even if you don't get her, you need to get her. I wouldn't overchase. Yep, they're good. Very good, very good. Weesh. Jeez. 1v1 versus a turret. Who wins?
Oh.
I think you need to spend more time on Hanamura.
That's dumb.
I think that would have helped. Okay. Now, you got to be sharp, right? Because this, Genji's not bad here, but, this is tough, right? You're going to have to find a way.
Quick.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, I won't even say that. I think Genji's actually quite good, but you have to understand what you're dealing with here, right? So you got to find a way to sneakily close the distance, and I would ask you the answer to that, but I think you already know. My problem here is, like, let's go, let's go. Like, surely you could dash or get to here, right? Right?
Yeah.
Surely. And then what happens once you get to here?
Pressure on the Widow, maybe.
Sure. And who else is going to turn
On
around
the
for the
back.
Widow?
The Ana, Kiri.
And what's that going to mean for your team walking forward?
Yeah,
Are you going to die for that?
maybe.
You shouldn't if you play it well. Not if you got your deflect. Not if you got your dash. Not if you play around the mini health back. Not if you play around cover, right? Like, you have to understand that you going here isn't necessarily going to get a kill, but it's going to create some space, right? It's the same thing with the very first fight where you have like 4 people looking at you. You don't need to get a kill for it to be valuable. You just need to survive. Sure. I'm down. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, it's ugly, but it's fine. It was a good try. It was relatively well executed as well last fight. So what are you seeing so far, right? Choosing our battles, not, you know, shrieking over every single tiny micro error or every single shuriken missed. What's the major theme going so far?
I tend to do things over and over again until they work, I guess. And then if it doesn't work, I just go back to the safe option.
Okay. So what skills do you need to practice to make that happen less?
Timing, reading the composition, where I should be.
How do you improve your timing?
Look around more.
When?
Before the fight starts.
Before the fight starts. There's your skill, right? Really, every hero needs to be doing that more, okay? And then you said looking at their composition and deciding what angle I should take, right? I think those are two really, really important skills that you could be working on. Is there anything else that you saw? Those are the two main ones.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I think we're good to go. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. This isn't complicated. This game is not rocket science. It is basically simple arithmetic while running on a treadmill. It's very simple, but it's kind of hard to do, right? So for you, it's going to be about finding those simple things and practicing doing those simple things over and over and over again until you can do it without thinking. Now, I want you to look at their composition, and I want you to tell me what range looks most attractive to you.
Maybe mid-range.
Don't try.
Like,
Here, let's put it this way: you're gonna play versus Reaper Widow compositions. You know, where the goal is to snipe the Reaper, dive the Widow, right? This is kind of one of them, right? Zenyatta, Torb, to a lesser extent Kiriko. You don't really want to play patty cake with these guys at 50 meters, right? Torbjorn, or excuse me, Tracer, Queen, don't really want to get up in their face all the time either, right? And you can, but you don't necessarily need to, okay? So how do you balance that out? How do you make that work when you got heroes that are on opposite ends of the spectrum?
Off on more blanks, maybe.
Sure.
Make them look back, see what I can do from there.
Look at your positioning right now. Look at the frame that we're on right now. Can you poke this Tracer out from here?
Yeah.
Can you do this without being seen by the Torbjorn and the Zenyatta? Do you see them? Yeah, you can. You see the little blues here? Yeah, so you could choose an angle. Remember the Zarya attack? When you took an angle and you started spamming the Zarya from a distance, but the snipers couldn't see you? Now, you did it by yourself way too early, but you had the right idea. Same thing here. If you are peeking these guys, I want you most of the time trying to dive them, right?
Yeah.
But you could peek this guy in poker as long as you don't peek these guys. And that's how the maps are complicated. They will allow you to do that, right? Now, can you take an angle to shoot Junker Queen without peeking her backline? Maybe. Might be kind of hard, but that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Now your Ram just freaking dies, so I don't know what's going on with that. Now I'm gonna criticize you, even though you did the right thing. All right.
Yeah.
You're closing the distance with the Torbjorn with full cooldowns on top of his head from a high ground off angle. Brilliant, right? What's the problem?
My tank died.
Your what? Well, okay, you couldn't help that though. You couldn't help that, right? Tank just freaking dies. I mean, look at your tank's HP. He doesn't even use Nemesis form. Watch him. You see this HP here? Watch it.
Oh.
He just freaking dies. Okay. You know, it happens. Okay. So is the fight starting? Yes. I mean, it obviously, right? So what's the problem?
Too late.
No, because your tank just freaking died. That's, you know, you should not have died that fast. Why are you going for the Torbjorn and not the Zenyatta, who's at point blank range? He's literally underneath you.
Oh, I didn't see him.
Yeah, but it's not a question of, oh, I didn't see him. You need to look for him, right? You can't let him hide from you. You know he's here. Where is he? Find him. Now, if he's over here, you see where my mouse is?
Yeah.
Different story. You go for the torp, right? Dangerous, but you got to go for the torp. You can't get to the guy. But he's giving it. I mean, look at his HP.
Oh.
That's why you don't get the torp, because he has Harmony Orb, right? And he ends up giving time to use it. So I'm gonna be honest. Well, first off, okay, so that's the main error, right? You go for the wrong target. What's the secondary error here? Remember, when you are diving backline, your primary goal is kills. What's your secondary goal if you can't get the kill?
Leave.
Leave, right. Distract. Look at this. Tormir looks at you. Kiriko looks at you. You force overload. Zenyatta starts shooting you. Kiriko, you got 1, 2, 3. Tracer peels back on you. You take that, right? Not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Now, you're probably still going to lose this fight, but more often than not, that should have created an opportunity for your team to pop off. They didn't, because they're bad. It happens. Okay? So, why are you here? Where should you be?
Maybe up top or like way back.
Deflect, wall climb your way back up top. This is not safe. Committing a dash on a Torbjorn that's 1 HP is fine. Just deflect, get out, try again, right? But you didn't, right? At this point in time, if you are not actively deflecting and getting out and climbing back up, you're trolling, and that's what happens. So this is what I would like to call, for lack of a better term, your aggro cycle, right? You went in, you used your dash, you had your deflect, and then you just kind of bumbled around, right? And I don't care what rank you're at, I don't care if you're bronze. Even in bronze, half the time they're going to punish you for doing that. You got very lucky, right? So does all this make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So great idea, great execution, wrong target, and you really didn't respect the ability to get out again. This is fine. You catch her off guard, might as well. It's a 1-for-1, and you should have the advantage in the duel. She's out. Nice. Very well done. I normally don't prioritize Tracer, but if you know she doesn't see you, you know, it's a good trade. Might as well. Ooh, too much spam, right? Again, it's a problem with priorities, right? I know Torb is a priority, but this is it right here, right? You gotta respect the spam. You either hide from the Zen and poke the Torb turret, or you deal with the Zen first. Or you spam the turret in a safer manner. You just don't respect. And the problem is that in Plat and Diamond, you're not going to die to Zenyatta's like that very often. But it's going to happen enough to get you stuck in Plat or Diamond. You see what I'm saying? Yes, if you go in higher ranks, they're going to punish you more often for that. But we need to get to a point where we're not making that mistake even at our rank. Because it's costing, like we're going to lose this point because of what you just did right there. Right? And I'm not saying that to beat up on you, although that's a fun side effect, but because it's a reminder that when you, even if your mistakes don't get punished often, it's still a mistake if it gets punished once, because it's going to cost you enough fights. We just need to get out here, to be honest. I wouldn't even commit here. I would rather you just disengage. That's crazy. Okay. Any questions so far? I know we're moving pretty briskly here.
Well, not really.
Okay.
I can't understand what you're saying.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And we're gonna write up a short list of things for you to work on when we're done here too. I'm just gonna hammer away. We'll give you something very specific to work at. I'm not gonna say a word because the same thing has happened to me way too often for me to admit it. Yeah. Good. Definitely could have been a little bit more patient there, like not so choppy. Definitely looked a little bit frantic. But the good news is that after another 7, 8, maybe 9 hours of Hanamura practice, that blade goes 10 times better.
You really need to play more of that then?
I think if you're not dedicating 14 hours a day onto the Hanamura blade practice, then you're trolling. If you're sleeping instead of training Hanamura blade training, you're trolling. See, they say that about a joke. You repeat it enough to where it's not funny anymore, and then you just keep repeating it, and now it's ironically funny. So that's my strategy anyway. Okay, let's talk about your positioning. What do you think about your positioning? Do you have cover?
Yeah.
Do you have an off angle?
Yeah.
Do you have a short sightline off angle onto squishies?
Yeah.
And why is that important versus their composition?
Because they don't have too much fuel, I guess. I'm not sure.
It's Sniper City, right? You need
Oh,
to be
yeah.
able to close the distance versus Kiriko, Zenyatta, Torbjorn, and Hanzo. There's not even a Tracer nuance in here anymore, right? Everything is going to blow your head off if you peek it like this. I mean, even your Torbjorn here is insane, right? Like, this is, he should die, right?
Nope.
So this positioning is really, really good. Well done. Now, don't peel back on this queen. Find a squishy. Even just to threaten an assassination, right? See, these guys have walked right under your nose, and then you dash through the queen instead of just... Because remember, why are you leaving this off angle here?
Oh, because I thought I didn't have enough support to stay there.
That's true. But why would you drop to the floor?
I'm not sure.
Why would you not dash to the high ground? You know, I'm nitpicking you. I'm not criticizing you, because obviously in the heat of the battle you make mistakes. But I guess what my point is that, first off, I would honestly try to hold here and wait to see if I get healing. Maybe just like spam the I need healing button, because that's what we do. Deflect, you know, whatever. But also, like, be very careful about where you're going. And then if you lose, right, go back, find that short. Yes. I mean, this is scary for him. You see how, look at this, look at this. The only thing here is just deflect a little faster. I mean, really, truly, that's the only thing. That's crazy. I mean, both of those support, like that was a 3K waiting in right there for you. I think you kill Hanzo, Kiriko, and Zenyatta if you're just a little bit better there. Did that tilt you?
Wee bit, yeah, because I could the Zen kick.
Yeah. Don't let him get it off, right? Right here, right click cancel. I think the melee was a little bit of a greed. Gets the mini, and so he ends up living it out. But yeah. But nice job closing the distance. Nice job getting there at full cooldowns. Good off angle, right? So we can take the good with the bad, right? Where should you be? Where do you want to go?
To the right, maybe.
Why?
Because left too many sidelines for that Hanzo I just seen.
See, your instincts are perfect. Nice. I would prefer you rolling out right, and then because it would have been safer to get to here first. Yes, very good. Very good. Nicely done. Screw her. Now, as soon as she gets Harmony Orb and does this, you don't need to get the kill anymore, right? You've already forced the resources. You've already won through that. And then now we clean up the queen. I mean, this right here, maybe your best fight so far. Really nice, really, really nice. Only nitpick was the initial positioning at the start. You hung out too far on the left, right? Really nicely done.
Yeah.
Good target priority, good use of high grounds and cover, good chaining of your cooldowns, good job ignoring the queen and focusing the squishies down. You should feel really good about that one. Now, this kind of stuff, let's put it this way. Some poke with Genji is fine. You just need to understand the risks, right? Right? I'm not saying never ever poke as Genji into snipers. You just have to be really careful, right? So if you're like here just to farm a little blade and you're like, I think I can move well enough, listen, I'm down for it. Just be careful. Avoid it when you need it. Like right now, this is good. I would stay here. I would stay here. Yeah, good. I mean, think about how unbelievably oppressive it is for the Kiriko, Hanzo, and Zenyatta to be thinking, if we go anywhere here, this Genji's just literally above our heads, right?
Yeah.
It's really annoying. Easy. Blade this if you want.
Yeah, I just got rolled.
Now, why is this a problem? Because you go for Zen first, but that's the problem. We just talked about how why is it the problem here?
Because Hanzo and Kiri to the right.
Right. So whenever you dive somebody, blade somebody, anything somebody, go on the periphery, the outside, right? Don't put yourself in the middle of it, right? That's the problem here. Because like obviously the dragon kind of sucks. That's the majority of the damage. But you want to attack the outside, right? The left, the right, the flank, the back. So it's not the target was the problem, it's where the target was, right? And that was definitely was that a tilter there?
Yeah, it really was. Get the dragon and then just get shot by Hanzo.
Yeah. Good timing though. Very nice timing. Very nice positioning. Terrible target choice. Stay here. Oop. Now here's the thing. We're talking about like pixels. If you're a little bit faster to commit here, this torp instantly dies and you live.
Yeah, I didn't want to commit too hard because the hog was still there. I didn't notice HP either.
I got you, but then you got to commit quick. The irony is that hesitation is what allowed the hog to hook you in the first place, right? You either don't go or you go like full out, no hesitation. There's nothing in between. Hesitation leads to defeat. That's how it works. Either don't go or you go. Nothing wrong with not going, but either go or you don't. Okay? You got time to finish out this VOD?
Hmm?
You got time to finish out this VOD here? We got a few more minutes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's just do a few more then. Again, we talked about the risk versus reward with poking. I mean, I'm not against this. You just have to make sure that you're like making yourself as hard to hit as possibly can. This would be a situation where positioning, where would be the optimal position for you given where the fight's happening?
Maybe under the bridge.
You could also literally just hide in this building here as well.
Yeah.
Look at your team's positioning. Wait for it. Right here. See? This is good.
Yeah.
You got a mini, you got an off angle, the fight's happening here. Short sightline, right? You're good to go. This feels terrible. Under the bridge, I also agree, would be better. But this is, you're useless here, right?
I didn't want to take any too much risk here because I was near Blade. That was last fight, basically.
Yeah. But you're losing this fight without even getting Blade. That's what's happening. Because you haven't done anything. Like you're a complete waste of space. You're not done any damage. You've not distracted anybody. Your Ramontra is eating everybody's attention because he's getting no help whatsoever. And so, oh yeah, congrats. You're gonna build Blade, maybe, but you're gonna lose the fight. Maybe not even that. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So, what are you seeing being the most important points for you to practice?
Timing. It's my team. Positional awareness.
Timing with your team. Off of tank / enemy tank pressure on your team. You can respond to the enemy team pushing your team as well, right? So if your tank doesn't engage or the enemy tank engages on you, that's good enough right there. Okay, positional awareness. Talk to me about that one. What do you mean positional awareness?
Like where I should be, depending on their comp and our comp, where the fight's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is the fight going to happen? Anything else? Maybe more micro.
I don't know.
Here's one.
Oh my god.
right. I mean, yeah. I really think that get into the deathmatch grind, get on the competitive grind. You know, I think making sure that you've got your 10 to 15 minute, warm up and try hard or unranked deathmatch. Also, throw in 5 minutes of backstab if you want. But just even with that, it's like it's just a practice you're sure can actually. It's not going to help you actually win any duels at all.
Yeah.
Okay, and then being consistent, mentality, the most important adjustment. And we talked about that. I don't want the most the recency bias, you know, to crop in where we're thinking about, you know, positioning on the enemy comp, but we forget about the really, really important mentality stuff that you got to work on. More important than anything else when it comes to your ranking up. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, I think we went over most.